It was deeply a part of Lee's kindness and understanding that man's right to kill himself is inviolable, but sometimes a friend can make it unnecessary. Cannery Row in Monterey in California is a poem, a stink, a grating noise, a quality of light, a tone, a habit, a nostalgia, a dream. Cannery Row is the gathered and scattered, tin and iron and rust and splintered wood, chipped pavement and weedy lots and junk heaps, sardine canneries of corrugated iron, honky-tonks, restaurants and whorehouses, and little crowded groceries and laboratories and flophouses. Its inhabitants are, as the man once said, whores, pimps, gambler, by which he meant everybody. Had the man looked through another peephole he might have said, saints and angels and martyrs and holy men, and he would have meant the same thing. Our Father who art in nature, who has given the gift of survival to the coyote, the common brown rat, the English sparrow, the house fly and the moth, must have a great and overwhelming love for no goods and blots on the town and bums and Mac and the boys. Virtues and graces and laziness and zest. Our Father who art in nature. The bird looked much smaller dead than it had alive. Jody felt a little mean pain in his stomach, so he took out his pocket knife and cut off the bird's head. As he went back toward the house, Jody knew one thing more sharply than he had ever known anything. He must never tell anyone about the rapier. It would be a dreadful thing to tell anyone about it, for it would destroy some fragile structure of truth. It was a truth that might be shattered by division. Carl Typhlin came to the barn with Jody one day. He looked admiringly at the groomed bay coat, and he felt the firm flesh over ribs and shoulders. "You've done a good job," he said to Jody. And this was the greatest praise he knew how to give. Jody was bright with pride for hours afterward. Then he saw what he was looking for. Below, in one of the little clearings in the brush lay the red pony. A longing caressed him, and it was so sharp that he wanted to cry to get it out of his breast. He lay down in the green grass near the round tub at the brush line. He covered his eyes with his crossed arms and lay there a long time, and he was full of a nameless sorrow. Jody couldn't have gone away if he wanted to. It was awful to see the red hide cut, but infinitely more terrible to know it being cut and not see it. "I'll stay right here," he said bitterly. Billy knew he had been infallible before that, and now he was capable of failure. He felt an uncertainty in the air, a feeling of change and of loss and of the gain of new and unfamiliar things. Billy Buck sat down on the steps, because he was a cowhand, and it wouldn't be fitting that he should go first into the dining room. Jody did not ask where his father and Billy Buck were riding that day, but he wished he might go along. His father was a disciplinarian. Jody obeyed him in everything without questions of any kind. It's all fine to say, "Time will heal everything, this too shall pass away." People will forget, and things like that when you are not involved, but when you are there is no passage of time, people do not forget and you are in the middle of something that does not change. Cannery Row's inhabitants are, as the man once said, whores, pimps, gamblers, and sons of bitches, by which he meant everybody. Had the man looked through another peephole he might have said, saints and angels and martyrs and holy men, and he would have meant the same thing. And everywhere people asked him why he was walking through the country. Because he loved true things, he tried to explain. He said he was nervous, and besides he wanted to see the country, smell the ground and look at grass and birds and trees, to savor the country, and there was no other way to do it save on foot. And people didn't like him for telling the truth. They scowled or shook and tapped their heads, they laughed as though they knew it was a lie and they appreciated a liar. And some, afraid for their daughters or pigs, told him to move on, to get going, just not to stop near their place if he knew what was good for him. And so he stopped telling the truth. He said he was doing it on a bet, that he stood to win $100. Everyone liked him then and believed him. It is the hour of pearl, the interval between day and night when time stops and examines itself. Look at them. There are your true philosophers. I think that Mac and the boys know everything that has ever happened in the world and possibly everything that will happen. I think they survive in this particular world better than other people. In a time when people tear themselves to pieces with ambition and nervousness and covetousness, they are relaxed. All of our so-called successful men are sick men, with bad stomachs and bad souls, but Mac and the boys are healthy and curiously clean. They can do what they want. They can satisfy their appetites without calling them something else. For there are two possible reactions to social ostracism: either a man emerges determined to be better, purer, and kindlier, or he goes bad, challenges the world and does even worse things. The last is by far the commonest reaction to stigma. Men all do about the same thing when they wake up. Faithless is he that says farewell when the road darkens. It is not despair, for despair is only for those who see the end beyond all doubt. We do not. Go back, he thought. No good at all. Go sideways? Impossible. Go forward? Only thing to do. On we go. So up he got, and trotted along with his little sword held in front of him and one hand feeling the wall, and his heart all of a patter and a pitter. It is useless to meet revenge with revenge, it will heal nothing. And then her heart changed, or at least she understood it, and the winter passed and the sun shone upon her. All's well that ends better. His grief he will not forget, but it will not darken his heart, it will teach him wisdom. I was talking aloud to myself. A habit of the old, they choose the wisest person present to speak to. Hobbits always so polite, yes. Oh, nice hobbits. Smeagol brings them up secret ways that nobody else could find. Tired he is, thirsty he is, yes thirsty, and he guides them and he searches for paths, and they saw sneak, sneak. Very nice friends, oh yes my precious, very nice. Deep down here by the dark water lived old Gollum, a small slimy creature. I don't know where he came from, nor who or what he was. He was Gollum. Stew the rabbits, squealed Gollum in dismay. Spoil beautiful meat Smeagol saved for you, poor hungry Smeagol. Misery, misery. Hobbits won't kill us, nice hobbits. Curse the Baggins. It's gone. What has it got in its pocketses? Oh, we guess, my precious. He's found it, yes he must have. Precious, precious, precious. Gollum cried. My precious. Oh, my precious. And with that, even as his eyes were lifted up to gloat on his prize, he stepped too far, toppled, wavered for a moment on the brink, and then with a shriek he fell. Out of the depths came his last wail precious, and he was gone. Frodo gave a cry, and there was, fallen upon his knees at the chasm's edge. But Gollum, dancing like a mad thing, held aloft the ring, a finger still thrust within its circle. Gollum's eyes glinted. He doesn't know what we minds, does he, precious? Smeagol promises to Precious, promises faithfully. Never come again, never speak, no never. Smeagol will swear on the Precious. He is in great fear, not knowing what mighty one may suddenly appear, wielding the ring and assailing him with war, seeking to cast him down and take his place. That we should wish to cast him down and have no one in his place is not a thought that occurs to his mind. That we should try to destroy the ring itself has not yet entered into his darkest dream. It is a comfort not to be mistaken at all points. Do I not know it only too well? What a pity that Bilbo did not stab that vile creature when he had a chance. Pity? It was pity that stayed his hand. Pity and mercy, not to strike without need. And he has been well rewarded, Frodo. Be sure that he took so little hurt from the evil and escaped in the end, because he began his ownership of the ring so. With pity. Let folly be our cloak, a veil before the eyes of the enemy. For he is very wise, and weighs all things to a nicety in the scales of his malice. But the only measure that he knows is desire, desire for power, and so he judges all hearts. Into his heart the thought will not enter that any will refuse it, that having the ring we may seek to destroy it. If we seek this, we shall put him out of reckoning. It is not our part to master all the tides of the world, but to do what is in us for the succor of those years wherein we are set, uprooting the evil in the fields that we know, so that those who live after may have clean earth to till. What weather they shall have is not ours to rule. Then darkness took me, and I strayed out of thought and time, and I wandered far on roads that I will not tell. Naked I was sent back for a brief time, until my task is done. You cannot pass, he said. The orcs stood still, and a dead silence fell. I am a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Aenir. You cannot pass. The dark fire will not avail you, flame of Uden. Go back to the shadow. You cannot pass. Deep is the abyss that is spanned by Durance Bridge, and none has measured it, said Gimli. Yet it has a bottom, beyond light and knowledge, said Gandalf. It is not our part here to take thought only for a season, or for a few lives of men, or for a passing age of the world. We should seek a final end of this menace, even if we do not hope to make one. You are wise and powerful. Will you not take the ring?